Hello fellow shadows, welcome back to another video, and it's been a while since I uploaded a video on here, and or any other person on the Scattered Shadows team has uploaded a video on this channel, and I apologize for that. I'm going to do my best to have this channel be more active. And with that said, I'm on bounding into comics, and it says Lucasfilm and Star Wars retcon how Rey learns force healing. Again, how many times are we going to get retcon with Rey? First, she was supposed to be like in talks of being a Kenobi. I would have been more okay with that than her being Palpatine. Then nobody. Then potentially a Skywalker. Then a Palpatine. Then maybe we're not going to make her a Palpatine. Then, okay, we are going to make her a Palpatine at the last minute. How many freaking times are we going to get her retconned? Not to mention, the entire sequel trilogy is practically full of retcons left and right. But damn, okay. So it says, Lucasfilm and Star Wars are hard at work doing their very best to confuse all their fans by not only introducing continuity-breaking force abilities, but also changing how they originally introduced and explained them. The latest effort is how Rey learns the Force Heal ability as seen in The Rise of Skywalker. As first reported by Screen Rant, the newly published The Star Wars book provides a brand new explanation as to how Rey learns this ability. Lucasfilm describes the book, which is written by Pablo Hidalgo, Cole Horton, and Dan Sherry. I am sorry if I mispronounced your name, as an infallible roadmap to Star Wars. They go to state, if you want to comprehend the epic and integrate Star Wars saga, this is the ebook for you. It's a unique and insightful examination of this beloved franchise. As for the revelation on force healing, the book reveals it is actually a force ability connected to the force dyad, as described in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The Visual Dictionary as a force dyad is a link through the force that connects two individuals across space and time. By that logic and what they said in The Rise of Skywalker, fine. Okay, it should work only for Rey. It should only work for Ben Solo, and for Ben Solo, it should only work for Rey. Fine. But was Rey and that serpent she healed towards the beginning of the movie force dyads? Anyways, the Star Wars book goes on to explain how the Force dyad is involved in force healing. Those who in the dyad possesses another unusual ability. They can use the Force to heal a wounded person or creature, but this acts as also requires the healer transfer some of their Force energy, which can temporarily weaken them. The book specifically claims this is the ability Ben Solo uses to heal Rey at the end of Rise of Skywalker. After their battle with Darth Sidious, Ben Solo sacrifices his life and all of his Force energy to bring Rey back from the dead. Before I continue, I think Kylo Ren or Ben Solo should have lived. I honestly think he should have lived. Then, The Rise of Skywalker title could be more well placed. Because, yeah, Rey might be the Skywalker that they're talking about, but she adopted the name towards the end. Ben Solo is a Skywalker by blood over his mother's side. So, I I think if you wanted to go like under the title Rise of Skywalker, they should have had Ben Solo live. And two, it will be a nice scenario, as I stated multiple times, regardless if I said it on this channel, on the channel, on my own channel, that if we got Ben Solo living, it would have been a nice story arc, like a what if Anakin Skywalker lived through Ben Solo. That would have been like one of the better things Disney Star Wars probably would have done, is kept Ben Solo living. Rey, if they wanted to, yeah, sure, go ahead. But Ben Solo would have living at the end of Rise of Skywalker and having that redemption arc in like comic books, like future comic books, future movies, potentially, future games, shows, would have been one of the better and smarter moves, in my opinion. In my opinion. Carry on. It's more than just also a little more than a temporarily weaken them. Interestingly, this new revelation on how force healing works doesn't fit into how Lucasfilm and Star Wars previously described how Rey learned the ability. In Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, the visual dictionary, it is revealed Rey learns a force healing technique from the Jedi text she acquired on Act 2. The visual dictionary explains Rey is fascinated by the arcane healing techniques described in the Chronicles of Brisbu. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And uses the underpinnings of such teachings to heal the broken kyber crystal in her lightsaber. If that's the case, I can kind of excuse Luke not doing that with his father in Return of the Jedi, because he cut his Jedi training short. Who knew if Yoda knew force healing? I like with Luke, with the whole Vader dying on the Death Star. I can give Luke Skywalker a pass because maybe he didn't know at that time force healing, but it kind of conflicts with like the prequels. Like, if that's the case, then why didn't Obi-Wan help Qui-Gon? Did Obi-Wan ever learn force healing? And if he did he know about force healing at the time? Or like this conflicts with the prequels a bit, more so than the originals, in my opinion. It just raises questions for me, like, okay, did Yoda know? Did he potentially pass on that knowledge to Luke in any way? Did he inform Luke there's a way of healing people, but a little bit before Yoda was going to teach Luke that, Luke got that vision that Han and Leia were in trouble in the city amongst the clouds in Empire? Did Luke know? Like I said, it raises a lot of questions for me. But this version of how Rey learns force healing is also echoed in the novelization of The Rise of Skywalker, while retelling how Rey uses force heal to heal the Fexes, the snake-like creatures seen in Pasaana. Author Ray Carson writes, she was acting on pure instinct now. Rey closes her eyes, reached out for the force. Whenever she fought or kept through the jungles on A. John Claus was where the Resistance base was in Rise of Skywalker, or even mind tricked a stormtrooper in releasing the shackles. Force Awakens. She channeled the Force using it for her own advantage in some way. But this would call for a different technique, something she learned from the Jedi text when she was mending Luke's kyber crystal. This time, she would give. A human resonated in her. A home resonated. Related. This is how they're going to try to explain Force healing now. A hum resonated in her chest as she gathered something inside her, offered it up to the serpent. Her own energy, her own life. It was part of the Force too, and she didn't have to keep it all to herself. She felt the effects calming. Its pain was receding. Carson continued. Ray would later explain, I just transferred a bit of life, Force energy, from me to him. Carson would later reveal that this healing of the Fexus actually somehow opened up new avenues in the Force, like a skill tree in an RPG. She explains, healing the Fexus had exhausted her, but it had also opened up new avenues of the Force to her. Something about both giving and taking, about a more perfect oneness than she would understand before. She yearned to talk it over with Leia. In fact, when she heals Kylo Ren, Rey not only draws on her own life force, but the life teeming in the ocean around her. Carson writes, Rey drew on everything around her. So much life in that violent ocean, but mostly she drew on herself. She gave. No mention of Rey being part of the Force dyad is mentioned in the connection with her ability to be able to use Force healing. Both the novel and the visual dictionary states it's from her knowledge of the Jedi text. Maybe more importantly, if the Star Wars books versions is correct, that would mean that the child or baby Yoda in Mandalorian, who also shown an ability in the Force, must be part of the Force dyad years before Rey and Kylo Ren. And if the Star Wars books version is wrong, then it still fails to address how the child knows this ability that was supposedly lost to the Jedi and stored in these Jedi texts only to be rediscovered and applied to Rey. Baby Yoda did it. Well, the child in Mandalorian was a baby. I doubt once he gets trained, he'll really remember. Yeah, Mando might say it to the person that he might give Baby Yoda to in Mandalorian Season 2, but I really doubt that the child would know or will remember that he did that. He did Force healing. So, there's some more in here, but I'm not gonna read it because it's like that. The sequel trilogy is a hot mess. The best movie of the sequel trilogy, or the fan trilogy as some fans are saying, is The Force Awakens. It might not be the perfect movie, but how it ended set up so many stories for the sequel trilogy that got screwed over in The Last Jedi. I wish that the sequel trilogy would be like would have been better. And the prequels are will always be my favorite. The originals is always going to be the best in my opinion. The prequels had their fair share of hate, more so than like the original trilogy had ever that I've heard. Say what you want about the prequels, but at least George Lucas had an overall plan of what he wanted the prequels to be. Sure, George Lucas might have like changed a few things along the way, but he kept his overall plan. He kept what he wanted to do for the most part. And the things that he changed didn't really affect the story to the point where us fans feel like it's a hot mess and a half. Not like with the sequels. The sequels, they didn't even have any plan. I don't feel like they had a plan. Like The Force Awakens, yeah, you can say, okay, maybe The Force Awakens had a plan, but Rian Johnson kind of screwed things up. The Rise of Skywalker, in my opinion, was better than The Last Jedi, but even then it was like, eh. And them keep having to explain things in like books or interviews to make The Rise of Skywalker make more sense only shows how The Rise of Skywalker is. Was just eh. Like, yeah, maybe like yeah, in the prequels and the original trilogy, yeah, maybe there's some things that George Lucas, Dave Filoni, whatever, needs to explain to some fans. But the list of that is really not nearly as much as in the sequel. You know why? Because both trilogies, the prequels and the originals, both had plans. Overarching plans. The sequels were more like improv. They didn't really have a fluid plan. And because of that, the ending to the Skywalker saga was. I feel like the Skywalker saga ended with Return of the Jedi. So, in my head, the sequel trilogy is more like a Palpatine saga, or a trilogy. So, the ending to the Palpatine trilogy was hurt by the fact that the sequel trilogy didn't really have a plan and almost of a plan, and most things that most like in the Rise of Skywalker needs to be explained by with the help of books and potentially games. Like what? This is why, with the exception of Rogue One, because I do feel like Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie under this Disney belt. This is why I prefer the George Lucas movies, which is the prequels and the original trilogy, over the Disney Star Wars movies. Guess yeah, the prequels might have their like why moments, like the whole Padme and Anakin romance thing. Like, it might have its down moments, and the execution of how Padme and Anakin in Attack of the Clones is like it's one of them, but the prequels has way more redeeming values than the sequels, and the original trilogy might have some flaws too. But like with the prequels, the original trilogy has way more redeeming value than the sequels. So yeah, So does it surprise me that they're still kind of like retconning stuff from Rise of Skywalker? I am not, because like 3, 4, 5 months after the Rise of Skywalker came out, they were retconning the Emperor. First, it was like he somehow survived. I think it was like he somehow survived the getting thrown in the elevator shaft. Then he was cloned. And I've been hearing rumors of a potential Star Wars reboot and how him, Darth Sidious, getting thrown down by the elevator shaft. Somehow he used the Force to go into the room of mirrors and like split his consciousness into like multiple realities. Now, the sequel trilogy that we got is one of the Elseworld realities. Yes, I said Elseworld, referencing the DC Comics a bit, but still, it like I miss the like how Star Wars like was written in the old days, and the best Star Wars that came out of Disney is Rogue One, Clone Wars Season 7, Rebels, and debatedly, The Force Awakens in isolation. And in my opinion, even though this is a scene from Rise of Skywalker, but the scene where Luke races his the X-wing out of the ocean, in my opinion, that's like one of the best moments in Star Wars, and I got no shame in admitting that. But outside of those 5 things, I like Disney Star Wars a lot less than I like the George Lucas version Star Wars. But that's just me. So what do you guys think about this whole Rey retcon, Force healing, where she learned Force healing from? Leave a comment down below. Thank you all for watching this video. If you like this, please leave a like, thumbs up. If you didn't, well, thumbs down. I appreciate your support either way. We'll work on making more content on this channel. Please have a nice day. Be kind to one another. Be careful out there in the world, because right now the world's a hot mess. And catch you guys later. Have a wonderful day. Love you all, and I'll see you guys soon.